Hey guys, it's your boy Tacho here, and we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. And today we're going to be talking about some builds for the new Fallen Heroes that we got on the Dark Burdens banner. So Corrin M, Lyon, Julia, and Ike, we're going to be discussing some builds and setups for them today. So let's just get started with Corrin M. Alright, so the base kit on this guy, he's got Brutal Breath, which is going to grant him a potential +5 to all stats if he has no allies within 2 spaces, and it's also going to grant him the guard effect on foes, so long as 1 or less ally are within 2 spaces of him. It also gives him speed up 3, so it's a very nice weapon, and it's going to be great for player phasing or enemy phasing due to all of the stats and the guard effect there. He's also got Glimmer and Attack and Speed Solo 4, which is a brand new level up for the solo skills. It's not really all that different though, it only just gives you 1 more stat point. And he's also got Null Follow-Up and Rouse Speed and Defense, so a very good starting base kit for this Corrin. And my recommended IVs are going to be plus speed on him, and that's mainly because when you have units with Null Follow-Up and they're trying to player phase, you always want to try to go for some more speed. But he does have a super boon in attack as well, so if you prefer to have some more power, then going for plus attack wouldn't be the worst idea either. And for the budget build, we really don't have to do too much for this guy. He's already quite powerful right out of the box, and we just have to give him an assist and a Sacred Seal. So you guys know how much I like Reposition. It's pretty much the bread and butter assist, but feel free to use stuff like Smite or Shove or whatever when you're playing in other modes. And Swift Sparrow as the seal, since it's going to be nice on the player phase for him and give him some more attack and speed, which is exactly what he wants. Now, the one downside to this Corrin is that even though he's an infantry type unit and he's able to use a lot of the infantry exclusive skills, because of the fact that he's a breath type unit, he misses out on a lot of key things that would have worked out very nicely on him, like Repel and Close Call, for example, and also Gale Force as the special. So, there are some downsides to this Corrin. He is the first infantry type unit in the game to have a 177 BST. And if you have the super boon on him in either attack or speed, and you've got the merges, it's going to bump him up into the 180 BST scoring bracket. So he can score as high as a lot of the premium level armored units, which is just insane for an infantry class to do. But as we mentioned before, he does have some drawbacks, and he misses out on a couple of key skills. Also, being a breath type means that he's weak to anything that's effective against dragons. So he's not the perfect infantry unit, even though he does have the highest BST right now. But he's still a very solid unit and a very good base kit on this guy. Alternatively, try Desperation in the B slot if you'd rather go for the instant double attacks. But no follow-up is going to wreck all of those units that rely on double attacks from their weapons or skills. And for the high investment build, we're going to go for a bait build on this guy. He makes very good use of distant counter thanks to the fact that he's gaining +5 to all stats and the guard effect on his weapon. Now, another unfortunate thing about him being a breath type is that Brave Lucina cannot support him, so you're not able to special ramp into something like Noontime when he gets hit. But it's fine, I mean, he can still make do. We're also going for Lull, Attack, and Res on the B slot on this build. And it's going to be perfect against melee types, because dragon types always hit Res against melee. But against ranged opponents, it's going to be a bit of a toss-up. You're not going to know whether they're going to have higher defense or higher Res. And he does do adaptive damage. So you may want to sub in for Lull, Attack, and Speed instead of Lull, Attack, and Res, because he's always going to make use of the attack and speed drop on the foes. But the res drop is going to help him deal some more damage, so I have a preference for that. Also, we've got Pulse Smoke here, so he can take down infantry pulse teams, and distant defense, so he can gain some defense and res against those ranged opponents. But feel free to run stuff like Null Sea Disrupt or Sudden Panic even if you'd prefer to go for something else in the B slot than Lull, Attack, and Res. And that covers us for Corrin, so next up we've got the Fallen Lyon here. Now, this guy's weapon is so up-tuned against ranged opponents, it's just unbelievable. So he gets 50% damage reduction on all attacks when he's up against ranged enemies, and he also gets 80% damage reduction from AoE specials. And if that wasn't good enough, His weapon also gives him attack up 3 and colorless type weapon triangle advantage. So this guy has arguably the best bait tome in the entire game, and his stat distribution is so perfect for a bait unit. His speed is a complete dump stat, and then he's got massive attack, defense, and res. This guy's stat line is basically what I was expecting Bramimond to look like originally, but they went ahead and made Bramimond unnecessarily fast and sort of tanked his defense a bit. But that is not a problem with this Lyon, so he's already looking really awesome. And the rest of his base kit includes Soul, Bonus Doubler, Null Sea Disrupt, and Rouse Attack and Res. So he's also another one of these super good units right out of the box. And my recommended IVs for him are going to be either plus defense or plus attack. Now, the plus defense is going to help him a lot when he's fighting against bows and daggers, but his attack stat is super high and his weapon is giving him plus 3 attack. So feel free to go for the plus attack IVs and just buff his attack even more. And for the budget build, we just have to give him an assist and a seal. And of course, you're going to want to go for the quick repost seal on this guy. He's not very fast, but he has good stats and everything else. So the automatic double attacks are totally going to help him out. And reposition as the assist. I mean, feel free to use whatever you want, but I do like reposition. And there are some alternate seals you could go for too, like the mirror and sturdy stance seals or distant defense. But he does want to make sure he's getting double attacks when he baits, so I do feel like quick repost is going to be the go-to option. And for the high investment build on this guy, you definitely want to go for distant defense 4, I think. It's totally going to be his best option. And it just completely shuts down Blade Tome effects. So not only is he going to be giving the middle finger to units like Ophelia, but with Distant Defense 4, he can do the same to Blade Tome units as well. And it's going to be very difficult to beat him with a range type unit when he has Distant Defense 4 and Blood Tome. So this Lyon is just really nasty against range, and we're also going to go for Pulse Smoke so he can shut down Infantry Pulse setups as well. It's going to be very difficult to build an Aether Raids defense team that can deal with this guy, because if you've got him at plus 10 merges and fully invested, he's just going to bait all of your ranged units and have no problems at all. So a really awesome unit here. But if you don't want to go for distant defense, then feel free to go for either Mirror Stance or Sturdy Stance 3, as they're going to grant him plus 6 to attack and either defense or res, as well as inflict the guard effect on the foes. So that could be a nice side option if you want. And finally, we've got a close counter build for this guy. So even though Blood Tome doesn't do all of its additional effects when he's fighting melee types, it doesn't even matter, because his defense and res combo are already the tops for mage type units. So close counter is going to be perfect on him regardless, and he is still keeping his effective against colorless type opponents with the weapon even if they're not ranged. So there are actually a bunch of key colorless melee units that he may be fighting against, like Fallen Tiki or Kanegus or Duma, for example. So close counter does have some merit on him. And with Time's Pulse and Noontime on this build, he's going to be able to start every fight on the first turn with Noontime ready. So the foes are going to hit him once, and then he's going to counter immediately with Noontime. So it's very nice for sustaining his HP and keeping him healthy. We've also got Lull, Attack, and Res in the B slot, so he can debuff the foe's attack and res. And he's just going to hit them harder, and they're going to hit him less hard. So a very good B slot skill for him. But of course, if you'd rather just keep Null Sea Disrupt, then be my guest. It is nice for him to be able to attack units with Fire Sweep Bow or Dazzling Staff. And that's going to cover us for the Fallen Lyon. So next up, we've got Fallen Julia here. Now, her base kit is also really stacked. Dark Scripture grants her attack up 3, and then minus 6 attack and res on the foe if she is by herself, with no allies adjacent. And it also grants her a guaranteed follow-up if the foe is not effective against dragons. So that's going to be a majority of the opponents she's fighting. And because her speed isn't really that good, having the guaranteed follow-up when she initiates combat is going to be really sick on this unit. Her attack stat is through the roof. She also comes with Iceberg, Attack and Res Solo 4, Light and Dark, and Panic Smoke right out of the box. And Light and Dark is just insanely good on this unit, being an Omni-Lull type of skill and negating all of their active buffs while giving them -2 to all stats makes her a really crazy offensive unit, and she's going to be a very hard unit to bait. So recommended IVs, I mean, surprise, surprise, we are going for plus attack. It is a super boon for her. She also has a super boon in res, but you totally just want to go for plus attack with her, so she's going to be laying on even more pain when she hits the foes. And for the budget build, once again, we just have to go for an assist and a sacred seal. That is a running theme here with all of these recent units we've been getting that are just completely built right out of the box. So very nice for people that are just starting off the game and summoning right now. And Sturdy Blow is going to be the seal for this build because it's going to raise her defense. Now, on paper, she has 17 defense, and that doesn't look that good. But because of Dark Scripture's effect of giving the foes -6 attack, and Light and Dark in tandem with that, her defense is actually going to be pretty sick when she initiates combat, and Sturdy Blow is going to augment that even further. But if you do want to focus more on just raw attack, then Death Blow could be a better Sacred Seal option. Also, there's Brazen Attack and Defense if you think she's going to take a hit and get low on HP. So all things to consider, but I mean, her base kit is already super good anyway, so you don't really have to worry too much about what skills to give her. And finally, for the high investment build, we're going to run Sturdy Impact. I think this Julia is actually the best Sturdy Impact unit in the entire game. Maybe Yune might make better use of it, but I do think this Julia is totally up there for sure. The +10 defense and negating the foe's follow-up is going to put complete misery on them, because she's also gaining a possible follow-up herself. So she can double attack foes, they're not going to be able to double her back, and she's getting +10 defense, and with Light and Dark, and with Dark Scripture, she is just going to laugh off all of their attacks, and it's going to be very hard for them to one-round KO her if they're baiting. So this Julia is going to be a complete nightmare to deal with on Aether Raid's defense setups. And because she's an infantry type unit, feel free to run infantry pulse units on the team with her. So you can quick charge one of her special attacks and just have her deal even more damage. Times Pulse and Glacies could also be really good options for that. So all things to consider when you're using Julia, and she's going to be a fantastic unit for sure. And finally, we've saved the best for last, so we have the Fallen Ike here. Now, this guy is just stacked beyond belief, because Chaos Ragnall is the first weapon in the game with an unconditional distant counter effect, with the added effect of flipping around any panics and debuffs that may be inflicted on him. So his weapon is just outrageously good, and then he's got Mayhem Aether, which is basically the same thing as Radiant Aether. Having a 4-hit Aether with the breath effect is just so powerful, and he's just going to be tearing people in half with that. He also has the highest speed stat in the game, tied with Marita. So Repel in the base kit is just super perfect on him, and it allows him to reduce damage received. He's also got Attack and Speed Oath in the C skill, which is pretty fair for a buff skill. And of course, recommended IVs, I have to go with plus speed for this guy. It is a super boon on him, and you're going to want to maximize his speed as much as possible when you're using stuff like Repel or Close Call. And for the budget build, this is pretty much a running theme here. Just give him whatever assist you want, and for the seal, I recommend Mirror Stance, since it's going to come into play against ranged and melee type units. But distant defense could be better if you just want to focus on baiting those ranged opponents. Attack Smoke is pretty nice as well, since it can debuff the foes by 7 attack after he gets a successful bait. So this Ike is just crazy right out of the box, and he has everything he needs to just whoop some serious ass, so really nice to see that. And for the high investment build on this Ike, I mean, there are so many different things you could do on this guy and so many ways you can play him. He's definitely one of the most versatile units in the entire game right now. So the Bond Force skills actually work out very well with Chaos Ragnall, because when you're adjacent to an ally, they will negate any active penalties on him. And his weapon is doubling any active stat penalties and granting them as stat bonuses. So in tandem with the Bond Force skills, Chaos Ragnall can become a really crazy stat stick for this Ike to have. But the one downside to the Bond skills is that you need to be adjacent to an ally for them to work, and that's not always going to be ideal. Usually when you're baiting in a mode like Aether Raids, you do want to have your support units at least 2 spaces away, so they're not going to be in range of getting hit. So the Bond skills, while good in theory, I'm not sure how good they're going to be in practice. You can also feel free to go for the stance 3 or 4 skills, so they can inflict the guard effect on the foes and raise his stats by a pretty good amount. There's also Null Sea Disrupt, so he can counterattack Fire Sweep Bow and Dazzling Staff units. And he can even pull off the Special Spiral combo that we like to use on Legendary Ike. So if he has support from Brave Lucina and he's got Special Spiral, the foes are going to hit him once, and then he's immediately just going to counterattack with Mayhem Aether right away, dealing a ton of damage and healing off any damage he's taken. So Special Spiral could be amazing on this guy as well. And there's just so many ways you can play him. He's just insane, and the built-in distant counter effect is so stupid because A-slot passives only keep getting better and better as we go on. So it's always going to be better to have distant counter on your weapon as opposed to in the A-slot passive. So really, it's just, if you pull this guy and you invest in him, he's just going to be downright invincible, and Ike is the GOAT. So I am very happy with this Ike, and I was able to pull him on the banner, so we're totally going to do some showcases with this bad boy. And that's going to wrap us up for the builds today, so hope you guys enjoyed them, and totally let me know in the comment section down below which one of these new Fallen heroes is your favorite and how you plan to build them yourself. And come back tomorrow, we will be doing a builds video for the Grand Hero Battle Ashnard, and we're also going to go ahead and play his map on the highest difficulty as well. So stick around for that, should be a good time. And as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, have a good one, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one.